Hi, everybody. I'm Belinda Wasser. How's everyone doing today? I'm very excited to talk to you about this wonderful topic, is being a virtual assistant for you. So I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes while everybody gets on and gets settled in, because I know it takes a minute for all these different channels where we're live streaming to catch up. Today we are on Facebook on three different pages, our business page, the VIP Club, and the Virtual Assistant Connection. We are also on Periscope, and we are coming to you on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube right now, click that subscribe button so you're always alerted to when we're going to go live. Looks like a few people have joined us. While we're letting everyone settle in, let me know where you're located. I love to hear where everyone is. This morning we did a webinar, the weekly webinar series, and we had two people from the Philippines. We had South Carolina. We had, where else do we have? Pennsylvania. I'm trying to remember all the different places, but I'd love to hear where you're coming in from. And also, I would love to hear, are you a VA already, or are you thinking about it? Where are you in your journey? So go ahead, you guys, and put it in the comments. Elizabeth, hi, Elizabeth, Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach. Love that. Glad to see you're here. Yeah, Tennessee. Ida's from Tennessee. I love Nashville so much. That's one of my favorite places. I'm a huge country music fan, and I was in Nashville a few years ago with my daughter, and my favorite country singer just came out with 5 new songs, Luke Combs. So I haven't taken a chance to really listen to. I listened to one of them, it was really good. I have to check out the rest. So let me know, are you guys new? Are you been around for a while? Tell me where you are so I can make sure that I answer your questions. And with regard to that, this is very interactive. So ask me questions, and don't be afraid of interrupting me or interrupting my train of thought, because this is really all about you. And Elizabeth has, yes, she's been at it for a while, but she still wants to grow and build. And I think that's the case for a lot of us. It really wasn't until I was a full-time VA for, oh gosh, it was probably my 6th year. I thought, you know what, I don't need to really change too much more. And my pricing was settled down, and the tools I was using, and you always have to make sort of mid-course corrections. But for the most part, I felt like, okay, I know what to say, I know what to do, and that was a huge relief. So keep at it. That day will come. It will definitely, it'll definitely come. All right. Well, we have quite a few people joining us right now, so I'm going to just dive right on in. All right, so for those of you who haven't met me, my name is Belinda Wasser, and I am a full-time virtual assistant. I've been a VA for 10 years now, and this was me right before I started. This is my daughter, Emily. She was 9 years old at the time, and my story was probably not, unfortunately, not uncommon. I was getting divorced, single mom, and I had a ton of debt, credit card debt, trying to keep up with, daycare. And, I lived in Boston. It was really expensive. And I also hadn't been able to pay the mortgage for over a year. And the bank was, being very gentle with me, but there came a time where I just couldn't do it anymore. And especially getting divorced, that just wasn't going to happen. So Emily and I moved around a couple of times. We landed finally after a couple of moves in a good neighborhood with a great school system. And that's probably when my VA business started to take off, because I felt like we were settled. And so the first year I did okay. I made about $70,000. And then after that, I started to make over $100,000 a year, anywhere from just over the line of $100,000 to 1 year well over the $100,000 line. And so what I want to tell you here, and what I want to be clear about, is that I don't want you to think I'm a unicorn. So what I mean by that is like a magical, mythical, creature that lives in a forest where, everyone's sparkly, because that really is not the case. I have no background in marketing. My degree was in architectural history and historic preservation, which I've been told makes me fabulous at a cocktail party, but does not really, directly relate to being a VA, other than I got good at research. And a lot of being a VA is, being able to jump in and figure stuff out. So in fact, I had a really good job for a while, and I got promoted, and they promoted me to be a director of this nonprofit. And I was supposed to go out to chief quality officers in big companies like Bose and, like big companies. And I was too uncomfortable networking. I didn't want to go into large groups, and I didn't want to try to sell the training that we were offering, and I quit my job. And that might seem insane, but I did. I wanted to do marketing and sales. That that I wanted to stay that far away from it that I left a job where I was really making good money, and the people were lovely, but I just didn't want to do that, and that was the position that they had for me. So I left. So just know that the things that I have done to grow my business, it's not because I have some special marketing power. I was not in an advantaged situation. Like I said, there was no cash influx. I built my own first website using WordPress and Google and YouTube, and figured it out. And I knew Microsoft Office pretty well. Which is, if you think about it, in the world where we think about VAs, that's pretty low tech. And I knew how to use Constant Contact, and I knew a little HTML from making a website for my nephew, on AOL. Like, don't even, AOL, hello. Long time ago. All right, so hello, Sandy Cole Sullivan. Thanks for joining us. All right, so let's dive into this. Oh, I just have one more thing I want to tell you. So I want to tell you, so from that story, so here I am. I got to move out of my house, trying to find a place for Emily and I to live. It was that particular year when we sold our house, there was no housing in Boston. It was insane. There were like no apartments to look at, and I was going to be renting. And so that was really crazy. But from that place, I've been able to be in business full time for 10 years. I've worked with over 200 clients, and all of the money that I made as a virtual assistant has been over $1 million. And that's not from some apartment that I'm renting somewhere and I have tenants, or that's not from anything, extra. That's from sitting in this chair right here where I've been sitting for 10 years, actually longer. That's how I did it. So today I want to talk about your virtual assistant journey and how it can be for you. Okay. So let's start. Sorry about that noise. That's one of my clients emailing me. So what is a virtual assistant? And the reason I want to start at this really basic level is because I think that we make stuff up in our heads when we don't know. I know I do. I have a tendency to do that. And I usually don't make up something that's like soothing or calming. I usually make up something that's stressful and crazy, right? So that's why I want to start right here with this. So a virtual assistant is someone who provides administrative, creative, or technical support, but instead of working full-time for one person or a company, they work virtually for many people, usually from home, and you really are able to provide a wide range of services. So it's not, I see a lot of people in the virtual assistant, my free online classroom, the Facebook group, talking about, oh, I don't want to do social media, or I don't want to do funnels, or, a lot of things that you don't have to know how to do. I have certainly done those things over my career, but when I first started out, it wasn't like that. So and right now I do very little of that. I do very little of that, and I'm still, full-time VA. So just remember that there are lots of ways that you can serve people. And I just want to grab this banner right here real quick. You just had it down here. One of the things that you can do, and I want to say this now before I forget, is that I've compiled a 12-page report on all the different things you can do working as a virtual assistant. It's called the Virtual Assistant the Ultimate Virtual Assistant Money-Making Task List. So go on over to the VA Connection. There's a blue banner right at the top, vaconnection.com. You'll see it says download my, the ultimate, what I just said. And you can download that and start to look at all of the things, many of which you probably already know how to do. The other thing is you can go over to my website. My business is called Rocket Girl Solutions, and click on my services page, and you'll see again a full collection of things that you can do, and I guarantee that you know how to do some of them. All right, so let's dive in a little deeper here. And okay, so here's some questions that I came up with. So the point of this was to say, okay, so what are the questions that can get us started? And I want you to jump in with yours too. So the questions we're going to talk about are you ready to work on your own? What do you need to get started? Where do you get clients? How much can you earn? What training is required? Can you work part-time? And who hires virtual assistants? So if you have any other questions about those, or in addition, I want you to make sure that you get them answered today, all right? So we're gonna jump in on the first one. So one of the big reasons why my business, Rocket Girl Solutions, has been successful is I treated it like a business from the very beginning. I wasn't someone's helper. This wasn't a side hustle. You can do it part-time. I went full-time because I needed to make some serious money to support my daughter and myself. And so you have to really think about, do I want to own a business? Because there are things that come along with it. So you have to think about, are you self-guided? Which means, will you put yourself in your seat and get to work even when you don't want to? Will you take care of your business? Which means thinking about taxes. If you're in the US, you need to make estimated tax payments, which means you need to save part of your money. It also means that you need to track your hours. It means that you need to, have things in place over time. I don't expect that, you decide to be a VA and you have everything all in place all at once. I certainly did not. But I did have some things in place that told business people that I was in business for real, like getting clear on my pricing. And I built a very basic website myself. But you have to make sure you want to be a business owner, because this is totally different from having a job. Totally different. No one just shows up and hands you the work. You get paid when you work. You get paid when you're billable. And so that's sort of the reality of it. And you could take that either way. On one hand, owning your own business, it's interesting because I used to think, oh my gosh, I need to have a job, and people who have jobs are in a better position, and am I being crazy? Should I just go get a job? But I can't tell you how many people I've seen recently and not recently who have had what I call a single point of failure. So what happens is, some guy or some woman in a business where these people work, and they decide, what, we don't need that position anymore. And, boom, that's it, no job. I'm trying to think, let's see how many, it changes every week. 43 clients right now, 43 clients. And so I have no single point of failure. Honestly, if 20% of them went away, it wouldn't be a problem, because new people are coming in all the time. I have a meeting right after this with a potential client. A new client came, what's today? Wednesday, Monday, hired me on Monday. So, all of the work is out there, but you do need to think about this in terms of being a business owner, all right? And then you have to think about how much risk are you willing to take. And to the point that I just made, it seems it's risky because there's no hiding when you have your own business. Not that you can hide at work, but you know what I mean. You can have days when you have a job. We all have, where you sort of clean your filing cabinet. I guess people probably don't have filing cabinets anymore, but it's been a long time since I've had a job. Or, you have days where you're not really firing on all cylinders. And it's a little different because, you just have to kind of be on when you're working with your clients. So you need to take, some time to think about the risk and how does it fit into your lifestyle. And also, depending on if you're living with someone or you're married, health insurance, and that's the other thing I wondered about, am I being crazy walking away from health insurance? But the thing is that, one of my friends said to me, and this was such a smart thing for him to say because it just made it go away for me. He said, oh, I pay for my own insurance. Don't worry about it. Just make more money. And I thought, okay, because the thing is that I don't have to wait for someone to give me a raise. I don't have to wait for someone, to prove myself. Now I have to produce good work, no kidding, and for all of those people. But the thing is that I don't have to stay in some sort of corporate structure where we get a 3% raise, until we finally get where we want to be. So that's the thing that's good. You can change your revenue dramatically in a year. Absolutely. All right. Are there any questions about that? Comments about owning your own business? I'm happy to answer those. And if I'm going to keep going, but if you have questions about anything in the past, just jump in. All right. All right, what do I need to get started? Well, the first thing you need is a dedicated workspace. Big fan of dedicated workspace because the way that I have my office set up, so I have an office with a door for the first time, and I just got this, oh my gosh, in March of this year. And that's because we're empty nesters kind of right now. And we have this, we have a bedroom where I can work. But up until that point, I'd always been in a corner of the living room. I was in the dining room. I was in a little nook in one of the apartments I lived in. I've been in a bay window. So you don't need to have a big space. And my workspace has always only been a few inches wider than my desk. So like I said, you don't need to, be able to move around, and you just need to be able to focus wherever it is. But you want to be able to sit down and get to work and not have to set up and spread stuff out, because the truth is you're only making money when you're billable. So you want everything to be just right in place. So I highly recommend a dedicated workspace. You also need to be articulate about what you do, because one of the best sources of clients, which by the way are everywhere, is referrals. And the client that I decided to work with on Monday, Trisha, she was a referral from Michelle. And there's a lot more to say about that, but essentially I knew that Trisha would probably be a good fit for me, because clients tend to refer other clients like themselves, that whole birds of a feather thing. And Michelle is an amazing client. And Trisha, when I was talking to her, I realized, love her, it's going to be great. And she wants me to do work that I really like. So here's what I say when someone asks me what I do for work. I thought about it about 10 years ago, and I've been saying the same thing over and over, because I want people to be able to remember it and understand it. And especially when we're new, we are not good at this. And I think until we practice it out loud and commit to it, which you can change it, you can tweak it. But what happens is we confuse people about what we do. So here's what I say. My business is called Rocket Girl Solutions. I'm a virtual assistant. I work with solo professionals and very small businesses, and I help them with all the back end administrative needs in their business, like updating their website, sending out their email newsletters, and online scheduling. Now, and then I stop talking right there, okay? So if you were to go over to my services page on my website, you would see that, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. You would see that, I don't know how many service sites I have, but a lot, and a lot more difficult and technical than what I said. But the thing is that almost everybody on the planet knows what a website update is, right? They know what an email newsletter is, probably, or you could explain it pretty quickly. And they know what online scheduling is, calendaring, calendar management, or I could say travel arrangements, or, whatever it is. But I chose the ones that people can identify with and understand, so that they can say, oh, yeah, I know somebody that needs that. Or when someone does need it, they're able to refer you. Think about it like this. If someone asked you today, do you have a good dentist? Immediately, you would think, if you do, which I do, yes, you should go to Dr. Stebbins. I love him. Same thing. If someone can hear what you're doing and remember it and understand it, when one of their friends who's an entrepreneur says, oh my gosh, holy cow, I need some help. I need someone to help me do X, Y, and Z. I really need to do this. And if that's, in your ballpark, your wheelhouse, they'll refer you. It happens to me constantly. All right. So you want to be really clear about what you do. There are other webinars about that in the VA Virtual Assistant Connection. So just go over there and check them out. Now, the other thing is clarity about your pricing. Let me tell you why this is so important. When you don't know how much you charge, people don't think you're in business for real. And then that stresses them out. You're stressed out if you're not clear about it. And what happens is you don't get hired. When you're in the conversation of getting hired, you want to make it really simple. Like, we talk, we establish that these are the services I have, this is how much I charge, and I decide if I want to work with you. And then there's a next step, and we'll talk about that. But essentially, you being clear about your pricing makes everything so much easier for everyone else. In fact, the thing to remember is that our potential clients and prospects are probably as nervous about talking about money as we are. So that's why we have to overcome that in a strong way. And in fact, I remember this was a couple months ago, and the person that was a potential client clearly was uncomfortable talking about money. She was kind of backing out of the meeting, like she was saying, okay, well, you'll just let me know, how much it's going to be, and then in an email. And I interrupted her nicely, and I said, it's really simple. This is how it works. And for those of you who don't know, this is how it works for my business, Rocket Girl Solutions. People prepay for my time in 5 or 10 hour chunks. I call it the debit card system. And the debit card system is actually a course that you can check out at the VA Connect, Virtual Assistant Connection. And what happens is they prepay my time. I work the time. Every Monday morning, I tell them how much time is left. And then when they run out of time, there's a link on the email from Monday. They reload their debit card. So it's pretty much completely self-service that I get paid as the time runs out. So I'm never chasing invoices. I'm never, and when a client runs out of time, if it's in between the weekly emails, I'll just shoot them an email. Hey, your debit card your debit card is kaput. That's what I usually say. Your debit card is kaput. If you could reload it, that would be great. I'd love to keep going on your project, which sends a very clear, friendly message that I'm no longer working on the project as long as there's no time. And it's not because I don't trust them at all. I have clients that have been clients for 10 years. It's because that's how I've decided I want to work, and my clients respect that, and they honor it by doing it. Okay, so that's what you need to get started. Dedicated workspace. We're going to talk about other things as well, but you do need a decent computer, and your phone needs to work. You can't be dropping calls and all that kind of stuff. A strong cell connect. You don't necessarily have to have Wi-Fi. I have Wi-Fi, but I have my computer wired to the router because I'm on Zoom so much, and I want to make sure that I have the strongest connection possible. All right, where do I get clients? Let's see, just checking the questions here. Okay, so here's where you can get clients. When I click over there, it disables this. Everywhere, seriously, everywhere. Clients, that's one of the things about being a virtual assistant. Almost everybody who is a virtual assistant, who is a business owner, wants a virtual assistant. And I remember my daughter's best friend's father, I met him for the first time a few years ago, and he said, he asked me what I did, and I said the same sentences that I said to you. And he said, wait, you mean there are people who will send my newsletter for me? And I said, you bet. And he said, you mean there are people, and I don't remember what he said, but it was 2 or 3 things. And I said, yeah. And he was floored. He'd never heard of this. So absolutely. Okay, so Tanita has a question. Is it a good idea to offer discount rates when you're first getting started in the industry? No, it's not a good idea at all. I highly, I'm against it. Now you can offer a lower rate. So let's say that you want to get started and you want to start at $30 an hour. Okay, so you start at $30 an hour, and I'm not saying you should start at $30 an hour. I'm just throwing a number out there. Okay, then what happens is you get a few clients, and then you raise it to 35 or 40, and then you see how that goes. Now, if the first person who comes to you who right after you raise your rate does not hire you, that is not a data point. That's just one person. If you repeatedly are not getting hired and you're doing all the things that I'm about to tell you about, that's a different subject. But my business, I started, my corporate job, I made about $100,000 when I left, and that's $50 an hour. And I didn't know any better. So I decided that my brain and my experience was worth $50 an hour, and that's where I was going to start. Now I'm glad I didn't know any better, because I would have been, I was scared about $50, but I just kept saying, you know what, I've earned this before. This is going to be fine. And then lo and behold, I got clients right away, and then I raised it to 60. And I went all the way up. Are you ready? $120 an hour, doing the same exact work I do now and the same work I did at $50 an hour. I'm better at it now, and I'm faster, and I have more skills, but the work has not changed dramatically. What they really want is my brain, and to help them to figure things out and get stuff done. So in the end, I ended up lowering my rate to $90 or $100, depending on how much time my clients purchased, because I found that at 120, I was working less. I had the same amount of clients, but I was working less because they had, they were treating me, like you treat someone that is like an attorney. You don't make small talk with an attorney when you're in their office, because they charge you by, 12-second intervals or something. And so I started to feel like that, and I didn't like it. So I ended up lowering my rates, evening everything out, and it worked out really well. But no, because I think when you offer discounted rates, what you're doing is you're teaching your potential clients and your clients that it's negotiable, and it's not negotiable. It's definitely not negotiable. And in fact, I've had people say to me, so here's a couple. So here's my least favorite. Okay, so I'm going to refer you to a lot of people. So you should give me a lower rate, because I'm going to refer you all over the place. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So, it might happen once, but that's unicorn stuff. It doesn't happen. Now, the people who do refer me, because I do get a lot of referrals, they're not doing it because they have a lower rate. They're doing it because I do good work and they like working with me, which is totally different. The other thing is, do you have a nonprofit rate? And I say no, and I stop talking. And then I might say, I do volunteer work, for organizations that I believe in, but I, my work is separate from that. And then again, stop talking. The stop talking is really important, because that's how we get in trouble, right? And sometimes, recently someone said, I'd like the 2-hour option. Like, it was like he didn't even hear what I said. And I said, I don't have a 2-hour option, but the time is good. So when you buy time from me, it's good for a year, and then it expires. I said, but the time is good for a year. And if you buy the 5-hour option, I think that we'd be able to find things to do. But as soon as they said they wanted the 2-hour option, after I explained how it worked, and I was clear, and I think they understood, it was like they were pushing on me a little bit, and I didn't really like that. And they went away, and I was glad, because they're not a good fit for me. They're really not. All right, so where do you get clients? Everywhere. All right, so let's talk about sprinkling. I love sprinkling. So let's talk about what that is. All right, the sprinkling method is, you want to, all right, so let's see. People talk about marketing. I have heard people in all industries say, I do my marketing on Mondays. I do my marketing Wednesday afternoon. I don't have any client meetings on Friday. That's when I do my marketing. And I don't really understand what they're talking about, because marketing, and which is what I call sprinkling, it's not something that you do all at once or in chunks. It's really about sprinkling yourself everywhere. So let me give you some examples of sprinkling. And by the way, in the big Facebook group, the Virtual Assistant Connection on Facebook, go up to the top of the page. There's a 1-hour video specifically on how to get clients. I do not leave anything out. So if you really want to know how to get clients, scoot over there, because that's where the information is. And I'm going to just sort of dance, a little bit into it right now, but I go into great detail. All right, so the first way to sprinkle is you're going to want to get all your contacts in one place. Now that's a big deal, and it's not a lot of fun, but once you do it, you will not have to do it again. The last time I did that was 10 years ago, and I just add new people to my list, but I don't have to go through everything. Now I'm talking about looking in your email inbox, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of the different places where your people are, and putting them in one place. Now the criteria is you like them and you know them. It's not that you are prospecting or you think they might hire you. Sprinkling is not targeted. It's like not a targeted kind of activity. What it really is just letting everyone you know what you're doing. And you can do it, you can do a little bit every day. And I actually recommend that because that's what's the most effective. So here's some examples of sprinkling. One is sending an email newsletter. That is like secret weapon, and writing content that is good, that people can relate to and engage with you. And I'm going to talk about how you can do that in a really affordable way on the last slide of this presentation today. So emails, newsletter. Another thing you can do, and this is very effective, is I call it the email check-in. Sorry, the email check-in. So here's what you do. You get a list of people who you, again, really like, want to stay in touch with, people you used to work with, old bosses, friends, your roommate from college, people, vendors from other jobs, but people that you know and like, and you check in with them. So the email, you have an email. Your email is, your name at yourcompany.com. So it's not rocketgirlsolutions@gmail.com. It's Belinda at Rocket Girl Solutions. So people know I'm in business for real and I'm not fooling around. And it also lets them know that I have a website, right? Rocket Girl Solutions. So I have my logo down at the bottom, my name, my tagline, a link to get a 30-minute consultation with me, which we can talk about that. That's a super great way to get clients as well. And the check-in email goes something like this. Hi, Susan. I was at the farmer's market on Sunday and I noticed that they were selling grass-fed beef, and I know how much you love that, so I picked some up. I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. Things are going well here. If you have time, and maybe a little bit more detail, but not a lot. I'd love an update when you get a chance, Belinda. I did not ask for a referral. I never asked for referrals. I did not ask for her to hire me. I didn't go into any detail about my work. However, the name of my business is right there. If you click on the logo, it'll take you to the website. If you already know who I am and I'm checking in, you can get on my calendar right there from that email. And one of the keys is a couple things. One, do 2 of them a day. And the reason you do 2 is because if they email you back, which they may not email you back, you want to make sure that you can email them back. And what happens a lot of times is they'll send you a really long email. And then you need to go and respond to that. And you don't want to wait too long, because the whole point of this email is to engage with people, so you don't want to do that. That would be like going to a networking event and meeting a lot of cool people and then never following up with them. It's just kind of a waste of time to do that. So you want to make sure that you're engaging. Now, the part I want you to be careful about is don't take it personally if they don't respond, because all that means is 20 million other emails came on top. And there have been emails that I know people have checked in with me and I save them for sometimes a couple months. I always answer them, but sometimes I just can't right now, but I leave it in my inbox and I go back to it. So that might be what's happening. But the whole point is for them to see your email, see your name, and think, oh, right? Sprinkling. You can also go on LinkedIn and you can look at what other people are up to in your, in your connections, And one time there was someone who, he started a new business. His name was Mark, and he was like a friend of my ex-husband. I met him at a wedding. Like, I don't even remember all the details, but he announced his launch of his new business. And I knew he was a serial entrepreneur, and I knew, meaning he had more than one business. And I didn't want to work with startups anymore. But when someone's had more than one business, the part that I don't like has passed. Like, they understand that they need help and they understand that they need to spend money. And so I just commented and I said, congratulations, Mark. And in a scary amount of time, the phone rang and Mark was on the phone. And because went to my profile, he could see my phone number. It was right there. I answered the phone and he hired me and I helped him start his business and he paid me $15,000 that year. So it's good to promote your own stuff, your own posts, your own original content, But just, pretending like you see them on the street and it's on LinkedIn and you say, congratulations, you don't know what's going to happen. Another story that's kind of fun is before I was Rocket Girl, I had an online store. I sold personalized baby gifts for a number of years. And there was a woman named Rebecca, and she had a business called Three Marthas. And I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but beautiful, beautiful baby gifts. She was one of the reasons, without even having met her, I went into business. She hooded towels, blankets, burp cloths, and then I took it to the next step and I embroidered them with the commercial embroidery machine and sold them. And Rebecca was on my list of keep in touch. She was also on my email newsletter list. And probably 5 years ago, because there's a link everywhere to get on my calendar for a free 30-minute consult, there was Rebecca. She showed up and I thought, holy cow, that is so great. I haven't even talked to her in years, although I've been keeping in touch with her with my newsletter. She was now working at a barn, and she needed some help setting up an online waiver signature system on mobile. And she asked me if I could help her, and I said, sure. And so she hired me. We finished that. She went away. Was it this week or last week? I don't remember. I think it was last week. There she is on my calendar again. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So she gets I get on the phone with her. What are you doing? Are you still working at the barn? No, I bought this other business. I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And I think I need you. And I say, yeah, you do. And this is how I'm going to help you, because we're friends now, right? And she said, okay, I'm going to go get ready and I'll be back. Now that's someone you would never think, a manufacturer of hooded baby towels who you haven't talked to in 12 years would hire you twice, right? So that's why sprinkling works. And that's why it's important not to try to figure out who's going to hire you, because I never would have guessed that, ever. And while that other project, a number of years ago, she only needed me for a few hours, I think she's going to need me for a lot more this time, which is really great. So that's what sprinkling is, and you can learn a lot more about it on that video that I talked about earlier. All right, so let's talk about how much money you can earn. Now, I talked about hourly rates. I talked about a little bit of this, but the whole thing about this is it really comes down to your skills. But even more than that, it comes down to your confidence, because you're going to need to look someone in the eye or on the Zoom or say it on the phone, this is how my pricing works, and be really clear about it and not waver. And that is not easy. That is not easy. So, but that's what it really gets down to. So what I used to do is I set my hourly rate, and I don't know if I said this or not, but I would put on my earbuds, and I walk about 4 miles every day. And I put my earbuds into my iPhone and I would walk around this pond. The reason I had my earbuds in is because I was talking to myself. I didn't want anyone to think I was crazy and throw a net over my head. So what I did was I practiced talking about my debit card. And every time, my debit card and what I did for work. And every time I raised my rates, it was like I had this whole crisis in my life, and I was sure that no one else was going to hire me. And my last client was my last client because I had raised my rates, not even thinking that I could always change them back. I mean, I ended up lowering my rates, $20, $30 an hour a few years ago because it didn't work. You're in charge. You can do whatever you want. And nobody, actually only one client came to me and said, what are you doing? But you know what happened? Was he turned out to be one of my biggest clients. I was doing a small amount of work for him on a regular basis. But what happened was when I lowered my rate, he started using me between 5 and 6 hours a week. So instead of 5 or 6 hours a month, my work quadrupled, and I made way more money working with him because for whatever reason, that number, it resonated with him. And how I chose that number was I went back through my list of all my clients for the whole lifetime of my business. And I said, all right, between $50 and $120, where were the people who I liked and they liked me the most? And it was right around $90 an hour. And so that's why I made the 10 hours, $90 an hour. And I made the 5 hours, $500, because I wanted to get those, those repeat clients that were at that $90 an hour mark. And definitely skills matter as well. But confidence comes with skills too, because, so here's an example that happened today. So one of my clients, the same client who uses me, 4 to 6 hours a week, he had, we did a webinar today, and I was in charge of watching the chat, admitting everyone, recording, noting who was on the meeting, and just being there. Because and it turned out it was good because one of the speakers didn't show up till the last time. He was in London, and they went to whatever they call their daylight savings time last week, and so he ended up showing up at the end. And so my client kept wondering, is this guy here? Is this guy here yet? So I was able to privately chat with him. Okay, so why am I telling you the story? Oh yeah. So what happens is this morning I said, hey, Bob, his name is Bob, can you shoot me over that list of the people that registered? Because he set it all up. Because I had the weekly webinar series this morning at 10 and I needed to get it done before then because his meeting was at noon. And so he says, I don't know how to do that. And he sends me 3 or 4 screenshots with 65 email addresses that I think he wants me to type because he doesn't know how to get it out into an email in like 15 minutes before I'm delivering the weekly webinar series, which needs me to have my brain in my head, right? So what happened was I sent him some instructions because I was not stressed out, but I was excited about the webinar and I was afraid I was going to get in this project and I was going to be late. And so he said, yeah, I don't think I set it up that way. And I thought, you know what? This is what he's paying me for. And this is why he pays me my rate, because I said, I got it. And I settled down, chilled out, set an alarm for Alexa. I was all ready for the webinar and I knew that. And I just went in and, Googled my brains out and figured out how to get those participants out of Zoom, because it was a Zoom meeting, not a Zoom webinar. I know how to do a Zoom webinar. And we figured it out. I imported them in MailChimp. I had the email ready, tagged them, and sent the email out. But that's the kind of thing, when I say confidence, I could have completely lost my mind and freaked out. But what I did instead was just say to myself, you've got this. This is fine. And then my brain cleared up, and so that's one of the reasons that I think that I'm able to earn more money as well. So that's just something you train yourself, to just learn how to be calm and not panic. And when your client is completely freaking out, I had a client call me yesterday crying. And I just said, we've got this. I understand what we need to do. I just calmed her down, mostly by not doing a lot of talking, but a lot of listening. And then when she was done, I said, okay, here's how we're going to handle it. These are my ideas. But really just being kind of the rock. A lot of our work is just being the rock, which might surprise you. Any questions? You guys are kind of quiet. Any questions? Okay, so let's talk about training. All right. So you really can start from wherever you are. Now, I recommend that you do download this Ultimate Virtual Assistant Money Making Task List and start to look through it. Make 2 lists. Make a list of what you can do already, and let's talk about that. So the primary thing that Bob, the client I was talking to you about, wanted me to do when he expanded my work was scheduling, online scheduling. So, he would include me in an email, I would follow up with the person, get on the calendar, send the invite, it got a little complicated. We had a spreadsheet because there was a lot, it was, 5 hours a week of scheduling all over the country and the world. And it was complicated. But when in the beginning, and when he said to me, can you handle my calendar? I said, yeah. Now, the last time I had handled someone's calendar other than my own, I was 22 years old. Now, I didn't say I haven't done it for 22 years. I thought, yeah, I know how to do that. So don't think it's got to be a skill that you've done as a VA. You don't even have to have been paid for it. It could be that you designed a website for your best friend and you learned the whole thing and then you did yours and someone says, can you help me with my website? You say, you bet, right? Put it on the list. So you could have volunteered. You could be working at your church or a nonprofit or the school, wherever it is. Those skills all count. So don't feel like, when I hear someone say, I'm a newbie, I want you to add to the beginning of that or the end of that, I'm a newbie at owning my own business, because the skills and what you can provide for your clients, you're not a newbie, unless, you're Like even my high school daughter, or well, she's in college now, she's a sophomore. I would hire her. She does data entry. She does stuff on Facebook. She takes my clients' customer satisfaction surveys and enters them in for them. And they know they pay her directly because some things it just doesn't make sense for me to do at my hourly rate. And they say, do you know anyone? I say, yeah, you bet. My daughter, $15 an hour. And they say, great. And then I manage her, and the work gets done and everybody's happy. So don't feel like you don't have any skills, because even if you've been organizing, the bake sales at school, you were using Sign Up Genius or something, and making a list and figuring out the money. So cut yourself a break when it comes to this. Okay, so one of the things though you will need to figure out is the business of running a business. And that's something that the Virtual Assistant Connection can help with. I also have classes that I offer. The VIP Club is one of those places, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But just know that that's the part that holds people up a little bit, just figuring out all those pieces. But the skills, you can just keep picking those up and learning them over time. All right, so now I realize I have a slide that's out of order, but we'll work with it. I have to remember to fix this after I do this presentation. So part-time work, a lot of people ask that. The first thing is you need a consistent schedule, because your clients are going to need to know when they can count on you, and you need to consider the type of work as well. So doing scheduling for someone like my client Bob would not work part-time. The reason our relationship works is because I'm at my desk in the morning till the afternoon, and I am only ever, an hour or less away from him. So if he needs something, that sound you keep hearing is him. I'm here for an hour. I'll go check on, see what's going on in Bob's world as soon as I'm done. So that's the benefit for him, because he essentially has a full-time VA, but he's not paying me full-time. He's paying me for the time that he's using. And I'm working for other people in the other spaces, but I think that as well is why it works so well. So just be careful of what kind of work, and set expectations. So if you're doing website updates and they give you the website update on Monday and they say, hey, can you have that by Wednesday? That's probably doable, right? But just communicate, because some virtual assistants, some people have the impression that we disappear. And so you want to make sure that you don't disappear and that you're communicating. Even last Friday, I had a client, he wanted me to write up a plan to roll out his LinkedIn. And Friday afternoon came and I was just done. I was really tired. I knew I wasn't going to bring my best. And I knew that the deadline had some wiggle room. So I emailed my client. I said, hey, Brad, listen, I know I said I would have it today. I'd like to move it to Monday. I hope that's okay with you. He emailed me right back, no problem. Monday, no kidding. First thing, he had a very detailed plan with my fresh Monday brain, and it worked out better for both of us. So now we're going to wrap up. Who hires virtual assistants? Seriously, everybody. I've been hired by my dry cleaner. I've been hired by my daughter's driving school owner. I've been hired by, Rebecca and a million other people, marketing consultants, financial planners. They're just everywhere. So it's really anybody who understands what we do. So that's our job to, keep it short and concise and explain it. And then, so here are some examples. Small business owners, authors, financial planners, coaches, consultants. I have clients that are nutritionalists, real estate agents. Let me think what other kinds of clients that I have. Oh, I have one client. She's a politician. I'm going to meet with her tomorrow. So really anybody needs a VA. And I put me on there because from time to time I've hired a VA because I need help with my client onboarding. I need help with my newsletter. I want to be billable as much as possible. So if I can get someone to help me do that stuff, then I can keep my brain in the game of my clients. So actually, even me. All right. So any questions about that? Anything we talked about all these topics here, lots and lots of information. Okay. So I want to tell you about something else I have up my sleeve. It's called the VA Connection VIP Club. The VIP Club is a wonderful small community of people who are VAs or want to be virtual assistants. And I want to tell you about the benefits of membership. One of them is that we have 2 calls a month where members submit questions ahead of time, and sometimes I need to do research, and whatever the question is, I find out the answer, and I don't really like the word present. I need to find a better word, but I come with slides. It's like this. I come ready to talk about whatever the topic is, and then we always have time at the end where people can just slide questions in. We meet on Zoom. It's usually a small group, 12 or 14 people, and it's a lot of fun, and it will help you get momentum because I'm answering questions all over the place, but if you have a very narrow, specific question, you can ask that, whether it's about an application or what to say to a client who you need to fire, for example. We have a private Facebook group. There's about 80 members in it. I'm in it all day long and answering lots of questions all throughout the day, or doing live streams to answer the questions if that's the best way to handle it. We have something called the Vault. We do weekly webinars. Every week, the webinar is available for 24 hours, and then it goes in the vault, and the doors close, and it's available for the VIP Club members. I think there's about, I should look, 25 or 30. We've been doing it weekly since May. So lots of valuable information there. Hour-long webinars on pricing, getting clients, how to fire a client, how to onboard a client, lots and lots of information. And then we have, this is a new feature, we have exclusive job opportunities. Even today, 2 people have submitted jobs to me. I'm starting to get known in the virtual assistant community, and people are saying, oh, do you know a VA that could help me with this? And so I post these jobs in the VIP Club so that the members can have first dibs at it. And I've got 2 going in there later today. And then the last thing that I mentioned earlier was that email newsletters really were my secret weapon and how I grew my business by sending them out on a consistent basis. So as part of the VIP Club membership, I have a very thorough and robust course called the Done For You email newsletter system. And that is a bonus right now for signing up for the VIP Club. What that includes is instructions step-by-step on what to write about, how to set it up in, I use the example of MailChimp. There's a template for MailChimp in there. I tell you how to upload your list. We talk about how to use the content later on social media, tons and tons. Every single solitary thing I could think about, a newsletter is in there. And the reason it's so great is not only will you be able to do your own newsletter, but your potential clients will see you and receive your newsletter and hire you. And it's been a wonderful revenue stream for me. I have done probably 4 or 5 of them already this week. And in the pandemic, it's only gotten stronger because people feel an even more pressing need to stay in touch with their clients and prospects. So my newsletter business has picked up quite a bit. So that's included. And here's the deal. It's $35 a month. You can cancel anytime. And this is where you can find it. So I'd love for you to check it out. I love to have you as a member. It's really fun. We do other stuff too, like we have a party once a month where we all come together in Zoom. I bring a bunch of really fun, kind of silly questions like, have you guys ever heard of what's called 2 Truths and a Lie? We did that one time. I'd never done that before. That was fun. And then we did, do you collect anything? Which that's such an interesting topic, right? What do you collect? And we talked about what's your most used emoji in email and text. So just fun. We're together for an hour and we all know each other and love getting new members. So give that some thought. All right, any more questions before I sign off? This has been great. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your questions throughout. If you're watching the replay, just put your questions in there and I will notice and I will, answer you in the comments for sure. Brianna, you are welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you for coming and thank you for watching to the end. I appreciate it. Okay, guys, I'm going to say goodbye. Have a great rest of your day and I will see you in the Facebook group. Bye.